Good evening, I'm your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington Political Analyst Channel. I got 4 passings this week. The Hall of Famer, Lenny Dawson, he was the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, winner of Super Bowl number 4. They were huge underdogs to the big bully of the NFL was the Minnesota Vikings. They were heavily favored. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they were the wild card team. They had lost to the Oakland Raiders, and they couldn't even win their own division, but they won enough games to they admitted that they had the wild card system back then. They were the first true wild card recognition. The year before, the New York Jets were really the wild card team when they beat the Colts in Super Bowl III, but they didn't call it wild card teams. They just called it second place runner-ups or whatever. But here's a photo of Lenny Dawson smoking a cigarette and drinking a soda pop at halftime. When I first saw this photo, this retrograde photo, I thought it was a beer, but I looked closer, we blew it up, and it's a soft drink. It's not Coke, it's not Pepsi, it's some off-brand. They were relaxing at halftime. I don't remember if they were winning or not at halftime. I don't remember. I have to go look it up. But I know Kansas City won the game 23-7 and upset the mighty, big, bad Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters, as they were called. And Len Dawson became a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he was leader of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was a good man. He was on that long-running HBO show that talked about the NFL. He was a pretty good handicapper. He picked a lot of winners. I personally like Len Dawson. I thought he was great. He's great for the NFL. He was great for Kansas City Chiefs. He was great for football in general. I never heard anything bad about him. I'm not looking for anything bad about him. And I want to thank one of my friends from pregame.com. His name is Superstar. So we want to thank Superstar for posting this picture of Len Dawson. I mean, that's a rare picture. I want to say goodbye to Len Dawson. The second goodbye is for Mikhail Gorbachev. He was the former president of the Soviet Union. Last week, I got a question from a coworker. Hey, Jack, you follow politics? You like Reagan? Because I told him I went to the Reagan Library back in early August. And so he's thinking, oh, he must know a lot about Reagan and Gorbachev's. Well, I kind of do. But he asked me, he goes, and this is the very question that I just found, the first algorithm feed on the Google search. Question. People also ask, did Gorbachev end the USSR? The answer is Gorbachev resigned in December 1991, and what was left of the Soviet parliament voted to end itself. So former Soviet republics, and it's got Armenia on here, and that's kind of an incomplete answer, but it's very brief and right to the point. But the Soviet Union voted to end itself. This is my question for my own research. It talks about Gorbachev winning the Nobel Peace Prize, and let me read that to you here. The recipient of the wide range of awards, including the Nobel Peace Prize, he is praised for his role in ending the Cold War, introducing new political and economic freedoms in the Soviet Union, and tolerating both the fall of Marxist-Leninist administrations in Eastern and Central Europe and the reunification of several of the Soviet states. And that's a good answer, but the real answer is Ronald Reagan. He beat Gorbachev in the Soviet Union by ending the Cold War, by outspending him, and Russia just couldn't keep up with the weight. Point in fact, Gorbachev was the president of Russia when Chernobyl hit in 1986, 1987, and many people, many historians, like it's almost a complete consensus. It's over 95% consensus. The Chernobyl thing was a straw that broke the camel's back on the Soviet Union, and they just couldn't keep up anymore. And different factions tried to take over. And it enters Boris Yeltsin. It talks about who destroyed the Soviet Union under Boris Yeltsin. The answer is several republics began resisting central control, and increasing democratization led to a weakening of the central government. The Soviet Union finally collapsed in 1991 when Boris Yeltsin seized power in the aftermath of a failed coup that had attempted to topple reform-minded Gorbachev. Now, you have to remember, there was these old-timers that were from the 1917 revolution. They were in their teens and 20s, were in 30s, early 30s when 1917. Well, a lot of them lived to be 80, a couple of them lived to be 100. They wanted to see the old Soviet Union style where they were just total tyrant dictators. That's what they wanted. They felt like all other dictators, including the ones in the wannabes here in the United States, they feel they know more about how to run your life than you do, and they want the total control. Rules for thee, but not for me. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Perfect example of a wannabe dictator. Gorbachev still did a lot of good reforms for his country, and he was willing to actually develop capitalism. Couldn't call it that because it was not acceptable because it was against the ideology of the Soviet Union at the time. And I have a lot of, I shouldn't say Russian friends, but Russian acquaintances. A lot of them worked on my amateur student movies at UCLA. They did all this stuff. It's very cold at first, but they warmed up to me. And I still keep in contact with some of them to this day. And we're working on like 15 years with knowing some of these people. I got a longer relationship with some of these Russian people. They live in the Fairfax district and Santa Monica Boulevard district of LA County. It's a suburb of Beverly Hills and Sunset Boulevard. I got more faith in a lot of them, and they're all Republicans, every one of them. So what's that tell you? Gorbachev, I thought, was a good man. He was trying to get the perestroika, trying to get the reforms, and it's to help his country. I admire people that try to help their country for the better, and Gorbachev was that person. Of course, you know how I feel about Ronald Reagan. I shouldn't have to tell anybody how I feel about Ronald Reagan. But rest in peace, Mr. Gorbachev. I felt you made the country better, even though things didn't kind of work out the way you really needed it to. And look what we got today. They should never put any of this blame, what's happened with Putin taking charge and getting around their parliament, getting around their constitution. He had his termed elections a couple times, and he became the de facto president through the back door by making him the prime minister. They created a position for Mr. Putin, and now, well, you know, it was not really clear if I can run again. And now, you know, Putin's probably there for life. If you don't vote for Putin, you'll be getting a knock on the door by the FSB. So I've said enough about that. I don't want to make the video too long. I'll cut some of this out. Death number 3 I want to discuss about something that I'm still looking into, and I'm very, very sad about this, was that the actress Heche. I thought she was a very good actress. I thought she was fantastic. But there's a lot of bad circumstances, and I can't say a whole lot. I'm hearing different things. I don't know what to believe. I haven't researched it yet because my time is so short. If what I think has happened, I am very, very sad to see this happen to her. She has 2 children. I hope they can get the justice that they're seeking. I wish her well. The last notable death that I just can't get out of my mind, and it's upsetting me to no end, was a nice 73-year-old woman in mid-city in downtown New Orleans, killed via a carjacking by 4 suspects last week of March of this year. I just found out about it the other day. Just a few months old, but you know what? This is still newsworthy. This is still noteworthy, and this person needs to be recognized and having a very well sent goodbye for her. Her name was Linda Fricke, a 73-year-old grandmother. Leaving her job, she was an insurance saleswoman. I forgot the company. And these 4 goons, these 4 animals, carjacked her car and didn't even give her a chance to get out of the car. And they dragged her body a couple blocks, and it was so bad hitting the other cars. And there was a good Samaritan that tried to stop it, but he wasn't able to stop it. I'm not going to show the carjacking itself. I saw it once on a different video. I'm not going to play that, but I'm going to play the aftermath, an interview with her sisters and her friends, and the good Samaritan that tried to save her. But this is very disturbing. We have a crime crisis in this country. Tucker Carlson should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm going to put him in for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, you heard it right. I'm going to put him in for the Nobel Peace Prize because he is the only journalist that has said the reason why these Soros-backed DAs are letting the criminals out of the jails and with no bail and no time and no crime charges is because the people that they're arresting look like the voters that they need to stay in power. Well, he worded it almost like that. I'm paraphrasing, but Tucker Carlson can't come out and say how I said it, that we got a black crime problem in this country and the DAs are letting them go because they need the mothers and aunties and the cousins and uncles' votes. Okay. If Tucker Carlson said they would fire him on the spot, no matter how powerful he is or how much of a following he has, or even Joe Rogan, they would fire him too. So I was hoping Joe Rogan would be the first one to come out and say it that way. He didn't. Tucker Carlson beat him to it. So I salute to Tucker Carlson, and he helped me get the research started on this Ms. Fricke here.
But in this case, the carjacker, a young teenager, was ultimately caught, tried, convicted, and sentenced for his crimes. Now, these crimes got a lot of attention in New Orleans. So the mayor of the city, LaToya Cantrell, showed up to the sentencing. But here's the twist in the story. Mayor Cantrell didn't show up to support the victims, the women who'd been terrorized by this predator. No. The mayor showed up to support the carjacker and to let the entire city know that she was doing it, to let everyone know whose side she was on. Watch.
The mayor showed up in court as a character witness for a 14-year-old offender during sentencing. The teen robbed 3 women in separate incidents with a fake gun, stealing their cars and belongings. The victims told Fox 8 they were traumatized by what happened, and then they felt victimized all over again when the mayor showed up in support of the young criminal.
I was in shock. She wasn't there for us. She was there for the assaultant and his mother, and it felt like she was supporting the crime.
Juvenile judge Renard Darensburg sentenced the juvenile to a 3-year suspended sentence, meaning no jail time.
It felt like she was supporting the crime, said the victim. Well, yes, it did, because that's exactly what the mayor was doing. Cantrell was taking the side of the carjacker over the traumatized, law-abiding woman. Now, in New Orleans, Cantrell is known by her nickname, Titi, but many people call her exactly what she is, LaToya the Destroyer. She is, in fact, a destroyer. The mayor is incompetent. The mayor is an open race hater. The mayor is an encourager of violence, and she is destroying an already wounded city. We reached out to Mayor Cantrell's office to ask why she was doing all of this. Why did she pressure a judge to release a convicted armed carjacker with no prison time? But of course, she didn't apply to us. It turns out the mayor of New Orleans had a connection to this carjacker. Cantrell had enrolled this person in one of her administration's welfare programs called Pathways Youth Internship Program. Using taxpayer money, the program says it provides young people who commit crimes with a reward, paid internships, and a stipend. We contacted the Pathways program this morning. We want to know how many people enrolled in that program go on to commit violent crime within 5 years. We also asked how much taxpayer money they spend, but of course they didn't answer. But we don't need an answer. We know exactly what this is. Pathways, like most social justice scams, is not in fact designed to reduce crime. It's about siding with the criminal, giving the criminals as much support as they need, even a courtroom visit from the mayor if necessary, so they can go out and commit more crimes as soon as possible. So why would you do something like this if you were the mayor of a city of New Orleans? Why would you force people to leave your city, the people who pay all the taxes, of all colors, by the way? Why would you do that? Well, possibly because the people who are left tend to be the ones who vote for you.
Left tend to be the ones who vote for you.
Gina and Salam told that Linda was an amazing woman and that she was just leaving from her job at a nearby insurance company when she was carjacked and ultimately killed. Tonight I actually spoke with family members who tell me they're just devastated.
It's disgusting. You have a 73-year-old woman just at her job, putting things in the car. They drug her. No forethought. Dismembered her. Well, why? She was just a good person.
Family members react to the news of one of the latest murders to happen here in the city. 73-year-old Linda Fricke dying after being carjacked in the 300 block of North Scott in Mid-City. NOPD officials say 4 suspects took her vehicle, speeding off while she was still in a seatbelt. Take a look. Police released video of the suspects late Monday night.
She'd help anybody off the street. She would have gave them the car. If they'd have just gave her a chance to step away.
She was dragged for more than a block before being dislodged from the car. Her arm severed during the incident. Neighbors helplessly trying to stop the vehicle.
I got out of my vehicle screaming at him, "Stop, stop, you're dragging someone." He took off with the vehicle, still dragging her with reckless disabandonment. No care for human beings at all.
Family members say Fricke was leaving her job at Security Plan Insurance, where she sold life insurance, when it happened.
She was coming out of her office building, putting something in her car, or getting in her car. She got tangled in the seatbelt because they didn't give her time to get out.
She was the kindest, the best person. It's a hole in all of our lives that we'll never get back. Mm-hmm. She just will be deeply. That's all I could really say.
Now, instead of welcoming their sister home from a day at work, they're grieving her tragic death.
It's disgusting. When it's going to stop, and that's what they target. Old ladies. That's just cowardly. That's evil. The parents need to be held accountable.
Now, I'm told that Fricke was one of 7 children. She actually had 5 sisters, sons, and at least 3 grandchildren. Such a terrible situation. Now, when it comes to the vehicle, they were actually able to find the vehicle, NOPD, but of course, officials are still looking for the 4 suspects involved. With that being said, if you do have any information about the situation, you're being urged to contact Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. Reporting live from Mid-City, Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
Just a heartbreaking story there, Shay. Thanks so much. And once again, these are the suspects that NOPD are looking for. Take a look at your screen again if you can. And please call Crime Stoppers if you know anything that can help detectives. For the latest updates on this deadly carjacking, you can also head over to our website, WDSU.com.
And I want to send you a nice farewell goodbye, Miss Fricke, and I hope you get the justice that you certainly deserve.